one name, one number, and a silence that speaks louder than any statement. When Xiao Zhan claimed the #1 spot on Baidu Index April 2026 with an overwhelming surge, fans didn't just celebrate. They turned, searching for one reaction that never came. And that silence? It shook the entire fandom. April 2026 didn't just pass quietly in the world of Chinese entertainment. It exploded. At the center of it all stood Xiao Zhan, once again reclaiming his position at the very top of the Baidu Index. A number, 1,381,300. But this wasn't just data. It was attention, curiosity, devotion, millions of searches, all converging on one name. And yet, what made this moment different wasn't just the victory itself. It was the feeling that came with it. Because this wasn't a sudden rise. This wasn't a lucky spike. This was consistency at a level few can ever reach. While new faces continue to emerge, while trends shift like tides, Xiao Zhan remains calm, untouchable, as if popularity is no longer something he chases, but something that naturally follows him wherever he goes. Fans across the world flooded social media. Celebrations erupted. Edits, tributes, emotional messages. A wave of love that felt almost overwhelming. But within that wave, something else quietly surfaced. A name, not in competition, not in comparison, but in connection. Wang Yibo. And just like that, the narrative began to shift. It didn't start loudly. No official statement. No interview. No direct mention. Just fans asking questions. Did he see it? Does he know? And slowly, those questions turn into conversations. Because for many fans, the story of Xiao Zhan has never existed in isolation. There's always been another presence. Quiet, distant, yet somehow always there. Wang Yibo, not as a rival, not as a shadow, but as someone whose name continues to appear. Whenever emotions run deep, this time was no different. As Xiao Zhan's achievements spread across platforms, fans began revisiting memories, moments from the past, shared screens, shared silence. And suddenly, this wasn't just about a ranking anymore. It became something more personal, more emotional. Because the truth is, in fandom culture, numbers may start the conversation, but feelings are what keep it alive. And in this case, those feelings were impossible to ignore. But here's where reality quietly steps in and changes everything. Because despite the storm of emotions, despite the endless discussions flooding timelines across the world, there was no confirmed reaction from Wang Yibo. No post, no interview, no fleeting expression captured by cameras. Nothing. And yet, that nothing didn't feel empty. It felt loud. Because in fandom culture, silence is never just silence. It becomes a space filled by interpretation, imagination, and emotion. Some fans chose to see it as quiet respect, a silent nod from afar, acknowledging a milestone that cannot be ignored. Others imagined something softer, a fleeting moment of surprise, perhaps even admiration, hidden behind a composed exterior. But the truth remains untouched. There is no evidence, no confirmation, and that distinction matters more than ever. Because in an era where narratives can be built in seconds, where a single assumption can travel faster than facts, it becomes important to pause and recognize the line between what is real and what is felt. Still, even within that boundary, one thing stands undeniably strong. Xiao Zhan did not reach the top by chance. This wasn't a fleeting trend. It wasn't a moment of accidental virality. It was the result of sustained attention, of audiences who continue to search, to watch, to care. The Baidu Index reflects behavior in real time, which means every number tells a story. And Xiao Zhan's story is one of endurance, of relevance that refuses to fade, of a presence so strong that even in the absence of direct interaction, he becomes the center of conversations that extend far beyond himself. And maybe that's why the silence around him feels so full. Because when someone shines this brightly, even the spaces around that light begin to glow. Still, this moment reveals something deeper than charts and rankings ever could. Because what we are witnessing isn't just popularity. It's connection, not necessarily between two individuals standing under the same spotlight, but between millions of hearts that continue to beat within the same story. A story that refuses to be forgotten. A story that lives, not in headlines, but in memories. Every achievement by Xiao Zhan becomes more than a personal milestone. It becomes a trigger, a doorway, leading fans back to moments they once held close. Moments filled with shared scenes, shared emotions, shared history. And somehow, without effort, without intention, those memories always circle back to the same presence. Wang Yibo, not because he actively steps into the narrative, not because he needs to respond, but because his place within that shared memory has never truly disappeared. And maybe that's what makes this moment so powerful, because it shows us something rare in the world of entertainment, a connection that exists beyond current projects, beyond public interactions, beyond visible acknowledgement, a connection sustained entirely by the audience, by the way fans remember, by the way they feel, by the way they continue to link two names, even when the world around them has moved forward. In a way, this isn't just about who stands at the top of a ranking. It's about how stories evolve, and how some stories never really end. They simply change form, quietly, gently, but always unmistakably present. So now we return to the moment itself. April 2026. A single name dominating the charts. Xiao Zhan, standing firmly at number 1, supported by numbers that speak louder than any headline ever could. And surrounding that moment, an atmosphere filled with emotion, curiosity, and quiet reflection. Because while one star shines at the center, another name continues to echo in the distance. Wang Yibo, no reaction, no confirmation, only presence in the hearts of those who continue to watch, to remember, to feel. And perhaps that is what makes this story linger. Not the ranking, not the statistics, but the space in between. The unspoken, the unseen, the emotions that cannot be verified, yet refuse to fade. Because sometimes the most powerful connections are not defined by what is shown to the world, but by what quietly exists beyond it. So when you look at this moment, when you see Xiao Zhan rise once again to the very top, ask yourself this: what is it that truly stays with you? Is it the number? Or is it the feeling that something deeper still remains, just beneath the surface? And maybe that is the real story